Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claims that America is turning into a fascist country. Nancy Pelosi tries to exert leverage she doesn't have regarding the Democrats' impeachment case, and Michael Moore and Robert De Niro get together to discuss filmmaking? Of course not. They got together to bash the president. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. I hope you had a great weekend getting ready for Christmas. And if you have some last-minute shopping, you guys need to go over to bottlebreacher.com. You need to check them out. They have the best in stocking stuffers, groomsmen gifts, man items. This is a veteran-owned company, made in America products. Just go to bottlebreacher.com, use coupon code BOBBY13-SANTA for $15 off your next purchase over $50. That's bottlebreacher.com, use coupon code BOBBY13-SANTA. All right, let's start off with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because this weekend, while people like me were getting together with family, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was out in California at a Bernie Sanders rally, firing people up on the weirdest stuff. I mean, when Bernie Sanders gets together with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you know things are going to be strange. This is a person who wants to transform America into a socialist nation. She wants to make us into the next Venezuela, and yet she starts talking about America transforming into a fascist country. It was just bizarre, and here's how things got started.
What this campaign is about is a radical realignment of our priorities in the United States of America.
All right, time out. Just a little heads up. When a politician starts talking about a radical realignment, you need to run for the hills, okay? Because that is never good. When Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says we need a radical realignment, you know bad things are coming. You know that she wants to take what's good about America and totally dismantle it and bring in more government control, higher taxes, higher spending, less freedom for you, all in the name of socialism. That's what she wants to do. Beware when anyone says they want a radical realignment in the country. Here's more.
It's a movement of anti-racist Black liberation activists, of immigration activists, of queer liberation activists, of the labor movement. It is a movement of all people and causes come together.
All right, she sure did pack a bunch of groups into that statement. And it's like I've talked about before. The Democrats, the left, they are made up of these constituencies, these interest groups that the Democrats try to paint as victims. All right? If you're all a victim, then you need a hero. And that hero is the Democrats. That's how they try to portray themselves rather than putting policies that benefit everybody and treat everybody equally and let people succeed on their own merits. That's not what the Democrats are about. It's about identifying victims and blaming conservatives for it. So, and what I found interesting was that she sums it up by saying we represent all people, which we know is not the case. Those people who want smaller taxes, less government, people who believe in traditional marriage, people who believe that maybe only women should be participating in women's sports, all of those people, that's not part of her all people. And we need to remember that. It is a group that is just finely targeted to beat conservatives and advance this socialist agenda. That's what she's all about. So then she starts talking about how America is the richest country in the world. And of course, she tries to paint that as a bad thing. Check this out.
Because as much as we like to say that the United States is the richest country in the history, or rather in modern history, for who? The richest country. Who cares about how much gold is being amassed?
All right, first of all, I'm not sure why she corrected herself when she was saying that America is the richest nation in history, but then stops and says modern history, because it is, in all of history, No country has been stronger, richer than the United States of America. But then she tries to paint that as a bad thing, capitalism as a bad thing, when capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any economic system in the history of economic systems. Yet she wants to bash it and try and say that there's a better way when there's never been a better way. And I guarantee there are people all over the world who would give anything to become a poor American, to be in that economic state compared to what they are in right now. There are a lot of things we can do in this country to improve the standards for everyone, and we are working on that. We've never stopped working on that, and there are people all around the world who would trade in a heartbeat their economic situation for one of ours. So I don't know what she's talking about. And then, of course, she adds this.
What we're living in right now is not an advanced society. A society that allows people. It is fascism. What we have, what we're evolving into as well.
A fascist society. I don't even know what she means there. I guarantee she doesn't know what it means. But what I do know, and what she said earlier, is that she wants a radical realignment of the United States of America. And that is something that we cannot let happen. We have to keep fighting. We have to fight back against her and the Bernie Sanders and the Squad and all these people on the far left that want to transform America into a socialist country, to take away our freedoms, to impose more government on us, and all that brings. That's what we're up against. That's our fight. So next, I want to talk about Nancy Pelosi and impeachment, because last week they rushed through impeachment. Democrats voted for it. Not a single Republican voted for it, and even a few Democrats voted against it. It was a big rush, and now she says, oh, hold on, slow down. I'm not sending these articles of impeachment over to the Senate yet because we need to take our time. We need to make sure that the Senate is going to be fair. We need to make sure that the Senate will allow us to call witnesses, even though they wrapped up their case, even though they did not allow Republicans to call witnesses or have counsel present, or on this checklist of unprecedented activities by the Democrats to ram a partisan impeachment through the House just because they had control. It was so strange. And on Fox News Sunday yesterday, Mark Short, who is the chief of staff for Vice President Mike Pence, he was on the show with Chris Wallace, and here's what he had to say.
Well, Chris, I think her position is really untenable. The reality is that she said in the House that this president poses such a grave danger to the globe that we have to trample on his constitutional rights, not allow us to have any witnesses in front of the Intelligence Committee, not allow us to have counsel present, not allow us to provide evidence in our own defense. We're going to trample those rights to rush this through, and now we're going to hold it up to demand a longer process in the Senate with more witnesses.
So Short is absolutely right. She doesn't have the leverage that she thinks she does. They are in a losing political situation. Forget the merits of impeachment, because there are none. There's no evidence. The president did nothing that was impeachable at all. So forget that. Let's look at the politics. Does this play? Did they have a winning political strategy? The answer is no. Ever since they started pushing impeachment, the president's popularity has gone up. Support for impeachment has gone down, and now Nancy Pelosi is left wondering what to do. So then Short kind of explained how things happened in the Clinton impeachment, and here's what he said.
I think what's happened in 20 years ago in the Clinton impeachment is that you saw that they agreed to say, let both sides lay out their case, and then we'll take a vote about additional witnesses. That's what they agreed to. And it wasn't just, it was 100-0 vote on that process, including Chuck Schumer supporting that process. So when Schumer says he wants the same proceedings as what happened in Clinton, I think that's what we welcome too. He's trying to now change the rules and have a whole different process.
All right, we'll see what happens next. I will keep you posted. But it's clear that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they're at a loss. They do not know what to do next to benefit themselves politically, to get themselves out of this political hole that they put themselves in. They thought the American public would respond. They thought this would be the final thing to get Trump, and it's not. He's more popular than ever, and now they're left wondering what to do. So next, I want to talk about Michael Moore and Robert De Niro, because they're two classic Trump bashers who got together for Michael Moore's podcast on Friday, and it was more of the same. And the level of discourse that comes out of the Democrats and people on the left, like these guys, is just amazing. So here is a report from the Washington Times. It says, in an interview with left-wing documentarian Michael Moore released Friday, actor Robert De Niro fantasized about President Trump being loudly smacked in the face with a bag of excrement. It would kind of feel good to punch him, not hurt him, but just punch him in the face, Mr. Moore said about the president during the latest episode of his podcast, Rumble. I'd like to see a bag of bleep right in his face. Hit him right in the face, Mr. De Niro responded before making a loud smacking sound, and let the picture go all over the world. And that would be the most humiliating thing, because he needs to be humiliated. He needs to be confronted and humiliated by whoever his opponent is, his political opponent. Again, that's the discourse from the left. This is what they talk about, punching the president, hitting him in the face with a bag of excrement. Can you imagine people, actors, high-profile people saying that about Barack Obama and what would have happened? It's just insane that this goes on. This is their level of discourse. They're trying to get things done and bring people together. It's never going to happen with talk like this. And here's more from the Washington Times. They have to stand up to him, Mr. De Niro said in the interview about Mr. Trump's political opponents. They don't have to do it in an obvious physical way, but they have to have the formidability to confront him and to put him in his place, because the people have to see that, to see him be humiliated. He's a dumbbell, Mr. De Niro said about Mr. Trump in April. Even gangsters have morals and have ethics. They have a code, and you know when you give somebody your word, it's your word because it's all you have in this world, especially in that world. This guy, he doesn't even know what that means. Gangsters and moral ethics, it's just bizarre coming from De Niro. It's bizarre coming from Michael Moore. These guys don't have a clue what it means to run a country, to represent all people. All they have is their far left agenda. That's all they can think about. That's all they advance. That's all they know. So next, I want to talk to you about the 1619 Project and give you an update, because I talked about it before. For those of you that are unfamiliar, this is a work by the New York Times, who decided to, on the 500th year anniversary, 1619 to now, of the first African slaves arriving in America. They want to make this a big landmark because they think that this defines the country, that America was built on slavery, embraced slavery, slavery was unique to America. That is the kind of thing they are portraying. Well, guess what? Historians, and a lot of those end up being left-leaning, are upset about this. They are protesting the New York Times because this series of essays is being turned into a curriculum for schools. Schools are teaching this false representation of history, and yet they're doing it. And the complaints have gone unheeded, uncorrected by the New York Times. Here's a report from the Daily Caller. Historians expressed their dismay to the Daily Caller on Sunday after the New York Times refused to comply to their request for corrections involving the controversial 1619 Project. The 1619 Project is made up of multiple stories and poems about racism and slavery. It suggests America's true founding was when the first slaves arrived in 1619, and it aims to reframe the country's history. The project has already been implemented in some public schools around the country. All right, so I want to give you one example, okay? This is, again, the historians, they listed a lot of errors, a lot of corrections. A lot of people writing these essays aren't even historians. They're sociologists or commentators or, left-wing pushers of propaganda. Here's one example. It says, the Times has not addressed our many citations of factual errors, Professor James Oakes said in an email to the Daily Caller Sunday. I am particularly distressed by Matt Desmond's essay. It is based on a body of scholarship that has been subjected to severe criticism by experts in the field, experts who span the spectrum from mainstream economists to Marxist sociologists. As a result, Desmond repeats claims that cannot be substantiated by the evidence. Desmond's essays, published August 14th, claims that slavery is the foundation of capitalism. The Princeton University sociologist went further to argue that almost every modern business has stemmed from slavery. That's the essay. That is supposed to be scholarly work on a discussion of slavery in America in the 1619 Project. This is what we have to deal with. And again, this is being turned into a curriculum that is available for schools to use to teach. And it is 100% left-wing propaganda that is being pushed. And thankfully, these historians are talking about it. Thankfully, they're protesting. And thankfully, the Daily Caller is covering it because not many people are. Folks, that's our show for today. We're going to take Christmas Day off. So I will see you on Friday for the next show. So please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go. And no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.